So the past few days I have just been using clips from stream to make videos, but I haven't streamed recently, and also I felt like I should probably make like regular videos too. So yeah, today will be a regular deck showcase video. So today we'll be playing Spellboost, which is the first deck I wanted to try out after Zora. So let's look at the deck list we're playing for today first. So this is the list we're playing for today. It is a list by Parachan, who is a Japanese pro player and also a streamer who mainly plays Rune. I will link both the tweet from that he made this deck from and as well as his channel in the description, so feel free to check him out if you want to see more Rune stuff from him. So this we're playing for today, the main gimmick or the main game plan is still the Spellboost parts here, so we can go into those first. So we got Ginger as a new Spellboost support. Ginger is quite strong. She allows you to spell boost your hand whenever an allied follower comes into play. So the idea is to pair her with your zero cost followers like Woodsong, Haiku Masters, Sammy, and Marie, as well as Ara, to spam a bunch of spell boost in one turn while setting out a massive board. And if your opponent can't clear it, you just win off storm damage after that. And if your opponent can clear it, then you just sort of take some time spell boosting so that you can win with Tetra and Ara and stuff like that. So in addition to the regular Spellboost stuff, this list is running a Lhynkal package here with Lhynkal, World of Games, and Wheels United. There is a Lhynkal decks are getting a bit popular right now. This isn't quite a Lhynkal focused deck. You can see it's still mostly Spellboost, but the idea with Lhynkal is that it allows you to deal with some annoying things. Like it allows you to lower your opponent's max health down to 16, so Tetra and Ladika's Spellboost 20 is lethal. Or if you want to go for a more Lhynkal focused game, you can either lower your opponent down to 8 max health, which puts them in Tetra range, or lower them down to 4 max health, which is Ara range. So, and those are our main options for this deck. And against Dragon, you can counter Zui by just playing Lhynkal and just killing them that way. Or since Dragon has a pretty slow early game, you can go for an aggressive game plan using Lhynkal in the early game and chip your opponent down, which allows you to look for a finish with storm damage in the mid game with Tetra and Ara, because if the game against Dragon drags out, you just lose purely to Burn Knight's Crest because this deck has no healing in it. So yeah, this is the list we're playing for today. It's a fairly difficult list to play, so don't expect a high level gameplay from me, but hopefully I should be able to play it at enough of a level to showcase this deck and what it does, so that you can give you an idea of whether you might enjoy this deck and whether you want to craft it yourself, and you can look at on your own time to play at a higher level, I guess, if this deck catches your fancy. So let's look at the games I have for you today. So this deck has a few different game plans you can work with, depending on what your opponent's deck has and can't do. So hopefully today's games will be focused on trying to show you how different game plans work. Unfortunately, it was a bit hard for me to get footage for this because like every game was against Dragon for some reason, so yeah, it took me a while. But yeah, so this is the mirror against Rune here. We are going second. I think going second is slightly better for this deck because there is no good turn 6 play in this deck, and going second you can just coin Ginger on turn 6, which helps you smooth out your gameplay a lot. So Mulligan, honestly, I mostly go by vibes. I don't really know what's the optimal Mulligan plan here. In this case, I kept Foresight for early spell boost and drawing into my deck, and then Woodsong just to help you advance that game plan, I guess. World of Games here, better to play World of Games here over Foresight because you want to pop the amulet faster, and also because you can spell boost potentially more cards by keeping Foresight. Well, now we'll drop the Poppy here, which we don't have an answer for, so we just go ahead and spell boost our hand. And this time we pick out Stormy Blast, we can get rid of the Tico here so we don't take too much damage, and then we can use Harmonious Meal to heal off the damage we have taken. And we can draw into our deck this way as well. Pick up Ginger, which is very nice. Right now our priority is to make a strong Ginger turn since we have Ladika and Ginger in hand. And hopefully along the way we can pick up more Ladikas or Thorn damage like Ara to hopefully improve the game. Lhynkal isn't super useful in this match, so we just go ahead and toss the Lhynkal here. And then we just coin Tico here to answer this board. Tico is like a mini Angria. Obviously nowhere near as strong, but she helps you spell boost a bunch and answer board with these Bestiarian missiles. It's just a generally decent place to sink your evil points into, since this deck doesn't have that many of those. Opponent will play the Unleash here to draw into their deck and then just spell boost their hand. Unfortunately, we don't have a good play here, so we just drop the War of Games and pass. We could drop Woodsong Haiku Master, but I figured I'm better off pairing it with Ginger to sink as much spell boost as we can into these auras and the Tetra and Ladika that we have here. If I was lacking in spell boost payouts, maybe I would have considered playing these just to draw into the deck more, but in this case, we have a decent number of payouts in hand already. We go ahead and coin Ginger here as we intended. And then we use these Woodsong Haiku Masters. Ginger gives them Rush so they can trade right away, which allows you to spell boost your hand quite fast. And then we use this Mysterious Missile as well to clear the follower so that we can evolve Ginger here and just set out an annoying board for my opponent to have to answer. Opponent will answer this with a Ginger of their own, which is a bit annoying, I guess. We are on the back foot here since we are much lower than them, so we need to look for a way to manage this health advantage here, hopefully, of this War of Games. Luckily, we do pick out another Tetra and Ladega here, which gives us a pretty straightforward way to win the game here. As I mentioned before, this deck doesn't have much healing, so any cheap damage you manage to land will stick quite well. So we go ahead and use a Tetra and Ladega here to poke them down, and then we can evolve Ara for another 4 damage. So this is a pretty easy to perform 9 damage combo here that's quite worth remembering. You can go up to 10 damage if you have a trade target for Ara, but in this case we don't, so it's 9 damage. So this is our main out for winning this game because it's put them down at 9, which means that if my opponent doesn't have healing from either Amethyst Nap Time or Harmonious Meal, then we can kill them with Ara plus Tetra again next turn. My opponent will go for a Wamda's board here, which is quite threatening, and certainly we have no way to clear this board, and we would have lost this game if we didn't set up for lethal this turn. But since we set up for lethal, we can go ahead and use Tetra here. Use her Storm to deal 5 damage and then use Ara. So this is an example of a Storm based game plan where you just chip your opponent down with Storm for lethal that way. Pretty straightforward stuff. Our next game is against Haven. I will point out right now this match isn't the most like gripping. Like my opponent didn't exactly high roll or anything, but I thought this was a best match I had to showcase the OTK game plan. So that's what we're doing here. For the mulligan, I would probably have just kept Foresight and just tossed the rest, but I guess past me they decided not to do that, so bear with me here. It's better to look for cards that actually increase your hand size and some like actually valuable payoffs like Sammy and Marie or Haiku Master or even Ara. So probably not keeping Ginger, we have a lot of card draw in this deck, so hopefully we can find Ginger without relying on that. As I mentioned, maybe I haven't mentioned, but Haven has a lot of healing with Verdelia's Crest, which allows Gilnalis and that 3-cost Storm that gains Drain when you activate an Amulet to heal a lot, so it's quite hard to win just off pure Storm damage, so we don't necessarily need that many copies of Tetra and Ladika, and I think it's better to keep these Stormy Blasts for answering my opponent's game plan. Or we try to advance our own, which is to get Tetra to 20 and just kill them from there. Opponent drops Lilium here. I feel like Stormy Blast is quite valuable in this matchup because they make boards quite big sometimes. But in this case, we need to guarantee we have a play for next turn. So we go ahead and Stormy Blast here, which allows us to make sure we can place Sammy and Maria next turn to draw into our deck, because as you can see, our hand isn't very good right now. So that is the idea, I guess. Don't drops another Lilium here, which is fine. So just go ahead and play Sammy and Marie as intended. We really need to improve our hand right now because there just isn't that much going on here. My opponent will drop Sophina. And they will evolve the Lilium and use the Lilium's evolve effect to cure my Sammy Marie to deal some damage to me, which isn't great, but you know. Play Foresight here, pick up very nice pickup here with Tico. I decided to play Stormy Blast here to make hand space. I'm not sure if this was the correct play, but it's the one I chose to make, so oh well. Go ahead and evolve Tico here and then use the missile to clear. We need to keep Tico healthy, so if my opponent decides to go for a Hamza Colette play, then we are forcing one of their followers to trade into Tico, which should make the board easier to clear after that. My opponent will just go for Zoe here. They will pick the 3 damage to my face. And they'll just evolve Zoe here to trade and set up for next turn, I suppose. Got War of Games here. Honestly, I think I could have just passed and then, or I could just play Amethyst Nap Time and pass, I think, but for some reason I decided to not do that. I think setting up for next turn is probably would have been better since we are quite aware that next turn they're gonna build a pretty annoying board to clear. But I guess I decided not to do that and just go ahead and go with this plan where I just draw into my deck more and try to find better cards. So there is the Zoe here, and they will coin Verdelia as well. They pick out Lyra here, which is quite annoying. And they will evolve their Verdelia here, which will allow them to trade into my followers. Anyhow, I'll turn back here. We're going to go ahead and use Ginger to spell boost our hand while answering my opponent's board as best as we can. You can see if I kept some of those 0-cost cards from last turn, I would have had a much easier time answering this board than I end up having. But arguably, the play I made last turn spell boosted my Tetra better. So I'm not really sure what was the better play here. Maybe more better spell boost players can tell me. Unfortunately, I didn't manage to clear that board here, so we do leave a Zoe here that we can take damage from. We're not in they don't have Sandalphon active yet, so we are fine in that regard, so we don't have to worry about that, but we do take a bunch of damage here, which isn't ideal. I'll try to draw into our deck here. Improve our hand quality as well as spell boost the cards that are in here. This Stormy Blast, I'm not sure if that was the best play there, but I needed to I needed to make hand space, I guess. We got Lhynkal here, which is great. We can try to put it down to 16 so that we can finish them out with Petra and Ladika, which seems like the most realistic game plan at this point. I probably shouldn't have Super Evolved here. I think just regular trade would have been fine. I do have Wills United to reanimate Lhynkal next turn, so it's not like I would have been unable to increase the number of Lhynkals in my deck next turn if I didn't do it now. So yeah, and plus Super Evolving here and leaving Lhynkal on board actually opens me up to losing the game. If they had Lyra or Hamza Super Evolve trade, they can ping me once and then play Sandalphon for lethal. So that was also a thing that could have happened, so yeah. Probably better not to Super Evolve here. You can see here, in the end, I need my Super Evolve this turn to answer that big Hamza my opponent has, so yeah, it definitely would have been better to save my Super Evolve for this turn. But since I didn't, I guess I had to make do with what I did last turn, so I'm just going to use Lhynkals here to lower my opponent's max health. Unfortunately, I can't get away with not Super Evolving or not using my last Evo point here to clear this Hamza, because if I leave it alive, I probably die, so yeah, we do reluctantly spend our Super Evo here to clear it. Obviously, I'm supposed to play Foresight before you play the spell, but I ran out of time when I was doing this, so I was just rushing. I just made a slight misplay in that situation. We did expect Olivia to come here. Actually, if I top deck another Lhynkal next time, I do have lethal. So I guess this was a relatively decent setup, all things considered. Unfortunately, though, I do not pick out Lhynkal here. So if I drew Lhynkal here, Lhynkal trade both Mysterian Missile, Tetra plus both spells would have been lethal, because double Lhynkal will put them down to 10 max health, and then Tetra can hit them for 10, so that would have been lethal if I did that, but unfortunately I did not draw Lhynkal, so we have to try not to die this turn. So we're going to use Amethyst Nature, spell boost our hand while drawing into our deck. And I can use Ginger to clear this Olivia. Or not Ginger to clear the Olivia, I can use Ara to clear the Olivia. Ginger needs to set our board. If my board ends up being too weak again, I open myself up to being killed by Sandalphon plus a Super Evolve, so I need to make sure I get some bodies on board here. Ginger is the best course of action to do that, so we go ahead and do that. And then we just keep using Lhynkal to lower down the max health so that I can hopefully look for a finish with Tetra and Ladika. At this point I play Ara, which is definitely a misplay. I think you're supposed to play one more Lhynkal first before Ara, because you can see my hand right now. Next turn we have Ladika plus her 2 spells for 8. And then we have Wills United for a total of 10 play points worth of cards to play for making sure our Ladika can go face. And if we do that, we spell boost 3 times, which means our Ara just barely is unplayable because it would be at 1 cost here. If I play one more Lhynkal, I would have gotten one more spell boost off the Ginger effect, which allows me to play all those cards plus Ara next turn. So definitely a misplay on my part there, but hopefully we don't get punished for it, I guess. My opponent will go for Gilnelis here. They will Super Evolve their Gilnelis. And use Colette as well. You'll trade their Colette and then use Unrelease to drain a bunch of stuff from my... Drain a bunch of health, but because we lowered their max health, the drain doesn't do anything here. They leave Ara alive here, which means we super have lethal. But I mean, last time we met... Our game plan last time was to set up so that even if with this Ara didn't survive, we would have lethal anyway, so... just to prove that to my opponent, we dropped the Lhynkal here to charge 10 max health, just to show them they would have been dead no matter what. So that's it for this game. Our last game here is against Dragon. This time we showcase a very niche game plan that I'm pretty sure only Dragon can ever lose against because of how dumb it is, but here we are, I guess. It is called Lhynkal Aggro. So we keep Lhynkal and a wall of games here. I don't know if this actually like what you're meant to do, but I thought against Dragon, maybe having Lhynkal to chip damage early would have been nice. So go ahead and drop Lhynkal here. And drop another Lhynkal. Just to advance the wall of games here as well as start playing aggressively. Someone coins Dragon Sign here, which is what Dragon players like to do, so I guess that makes sense. Drop Tico here. We could have went Wheels United to buff these two Lhynkals, but I think we should play safer because it's not guaranteed that they will just fold off of Wheels United stuff. So I think setting up our proper Spellboost game plan is like marginally better, I guess. Plus Tico is just more pressure on board as well. So my opponent is super greedy, so they will go ahead and ramp a second time, which is just fine for me. Now it's time to go for Wheels United to buff this board. And we use Harmonious Meal as well just to spell boost our hand more. This healing is not gonna matter against Dragon. If they have enough damage, they will have enough damage. And then we'll enhance Dragonite Promoter here to clear my board, which I guess is good for them, but they are super low now, so we just have to keep up the pressure a little bit. Use Sammy and Marie to draw into our deck more. Pick up Wheels United, which is quite nice. We can go ahead and summon another Lhynkal to start lowering their max health. There is an argument for keeping this in case we want to super evolve Lhynkal and go for a max HP win. But I guess I decided to just keep putting bodies on board to annoy my opponent with. My opponent chose to maximize their healing by leaving the Lhynkal alive, which I don't think was a very good idea on their end, but you know, it's what they chose to do, so that's fine. Play Mist out and draw into our deck with the Amethyst Nap Time, and then we pick up a wall of games to set it up. Since we have time now, go ahead and use the Stormy Blast to clear the followers so that I can Evo Phase and keep up the pressure. And draw Haiku Master as well just to draw into my deck and set up more spell boosts. So then we'll go ahead and coin out their Burnite. This is good because it means they can't coin Urns next turn. And they will super you off their Burnite here. Got Ginger here, which is quite nice. We can go ahead and use that to deal with their Burnite. And we super evolve here for two reasons. One is to get the 1 damage ping. The 1 damage ping puts them down to 8. And they don't have enough play points for Urns, which means that very high chance we can just kill them next turn with Tetra Ladika Super Evo. And also this puts out an annoying board where they have to answer it so that they can't just keep pushing damage to my face. They sort of have to deal with this board. And then we'll drop Drak and Elzar here, as well as a second copy, which will get this free evo here. And they will trade, and then they will super evolve the second Elzar to clear my Ginger. But as we planned earlier, this will put them in lethal range, so we go ahead and use Ladika here. Tommy Blast to chip down the middle ward so that we can sweep their whole board with Data Cannon and then super evolve Ladika for lethal. So yeah, this bit of a more aggressive game plan that you maybe can cheese wins against Dragon with. So those are all the games I have for you today. Maybe not the most high level gameplay you've ever seen, but again, I'm still learning this deck, plus it's still early expansion, so you're gonna have to forgive me. The list isn't super optimized either, probably anyway, so yeah, hopefully gave you some idea of how this deck works. Lhynkal puts an interesting little bit of a nice like twist to the main spell boost deck, so I do like it. But if you don't like Lhynkal, you can just cut these and run more spell boost cards like Harmonious Meal and Blaze Destroyer and stuff like that. So yeah, you can definitely do that. Hopefully you enjoyed, and hopefully it gave you some idea of how this deck works in case you want to try it out yourself. But anyway, that's it for today. See you next time. Bye bye.